There's international outrage tonight over Burma's refusal to open its borders to international aid. British Prime Minister Gordon Brown has accused the military leadership of inhuman neglect of its own people. A top UN official is flying to Rangoon to plead with the generals, but it appears unlikely he'll be allowed to meet the junta's leader.
Across Burma's Irrawaddy Delta, cyclone victims are still waiting for aid. Buddhist monks providing shelter and food have been left to their own resources. But the generals insist they're providing all necessary assistance. They invited 60 diplomats and UN officials on a tour of the Delta. They visited 3 aid camps and were briefed on the extent of the operation. But the picture they painted bears no resemblance to the grim reality. Survivors say they're using ropes to drag corpses away from their villages and tying them to stakes to prevent the tide from repeatedly washing them up. The international community says as many as 2.5 million Burmese need urgent help. The American diplomat who joined the generals' tour dismissed it as a show and the generals as xenophobic. France has told the UN the junta's refusal to allow aid in is verging on a crime against humanity. Britain and Belgium have joined the outcry.
This is inhuman. We have an intolerable situation created by a natural disaster. It is being made into a man-made catastrophe by the negligence, the neglect, and the inhuman treatment of the Burmese people by a regime that is failing to act.
It's something between a cataclysm and a giant disaster. And of course we are also confronted to, how could I say, I must a little bit be attentive with the non-willing of the local authorities to accept foreign help.
Some aid is getting through from Thailand and India, but aid agencies say it's just a trickle, and the military has sealed the Delta to all but its own relief teams. American, French and British Navy ships are standing off Burma, waiting for permission to deliver aid. This French ship alone is carrying enough food to feed 100,000 people, an emergency shelter for 15,000. US Navy helicopter crews are waiting for the order to airlift medical teams, water purifying machines, ambulances and trucks. They could be over the Delta within 30 minutes. The Navy's also preparing to deploy hovercraft, but there are fears the order won't come because of the generals' fear that if foreign forces enter Burma, they won't leave. Australia's Burmese community is sending a container of aid and praying that the generals will open their hearts and their borders to save so many at risk of starvation and disease. Ross Cameron, World News Australia.